Hi, I'm Ben and welcome to my corner. Today we're taking a look at the debut novel of John Scalzi from 2005, Old Man's War, a book that has since spawned 5 follow-up novels within this series. As normal, we're going to be looking at story first. This will be followed by world building, characters, writing style, and then at the end I'll give some thoughts of my own. So let's just jump straight into it with the story. The story is told from the perspective of John Perry, a 75-year-old whose wife had died 8 years earlier. Both of them had agreed, once they turned 75, to join the Colonial Defence Force. The force promised to restore people to their lost youth in return for 10 years of service. The story begins with him saying goodbye to his wife's grave for the last time before he joins up, goes through training, and gets thrown into the harsh and massive universe that people on Earth had no idea exists. And this is basically the story of how an old age pensioner with 75 years of life on Earth adapts to interstellar combat zones, how fragile life really is in the universe, and how an everyman old age pensioner copes with such a massive change. The world building in this book starts off good and ends up great. It's very, very high praise indeed for this. It starts off the world being painted as normal, but as it's all from John's point of view, a bit dull, very jaded. Then as he goes up and moves through the story, he gets to see how small and insignificant Earth is, and indeed he is. There's information thrown at them all the way through about various different alien cultures, some of which you get to meet. There's also information about the differences between Earth and the colonies, who don't really talk. There is a lot of stuff going on here. Technology is well fleshed out, army tactics and the difference between how tactics on Earth and tactics in space will work. Just the general aesthetic as well, whilst not always particularly described in detail, is actually done in such a way that it makes complete sense. Really, really, really good. Helps you be really immersed in the world. There were quite a few cues taken here from Starship Troopers, and anybody who certainly has seen the film, if not read the book, will recognise various beats that come from the world building in there as well. Really good stuff. In some ways, the side characters of this story are not underdeveloped, but they're very surface level. However, the reason for this is because you don't get to spend much time with them before all the people you meet are either moved off onto other assignments, or the main character moves on to assignments of his own. Also, as is made very clear early on, over 60% of them do not make it to the end of their service. However, whilst they may be mildly underdeveloped, the lead of John Perry is not. He is spectacularly well written, as initially an old, jaded man who has had enough of just the humdrum life that he was living and just wants one final adventure. And that his reaction to going on that adventure, meeting all these new people, going through the process of regaining his youth, which happened in a way that I found interesting, to be honest, and then how a 75-year-old copes with being young again is really, really well written. There's a great deal of characterization to him as well, and what is really highlighted is how adaptable he is, how he can think on his feet. In the various different situations that he finds himself in, he's quickly able to adapt, which many other characters in the story do not. This is the best character work I've read in any of the books I've read this year, and it is the strongest aspect of this book by far. The book is very much written from the perspective of the lead character, and it's also quite a short book at 320 pages. It doesn't waste time on pointless details. There's no filler in here, which is great. It helps the pacing of the book no end. It's very much a case of this happens, fallout. Well, then this happens, then more fallout, and it all focuses in really closely on the main character, John in particular, and also the friends that his mate makes along the way. On top of that, it does just enough to make you care about that group of friends that form quite close to the beginning of the book. So when some of those maybe don't make it, it does have a bit of an emotional reaction. And by the end of it, you actually see the whole journey that John's made from the old jaded man back on Earth to basically a decorated war hero by the end of the book. And I am so pleased that there are follow-on books to this. I don't know if they follow the same characters. I'm pretty sure that they don't, which is a shame, but I could be wrong on that. But I'm really looking forward to reading. This is a really well written book, especially for a debut novel. This book is an easy recommend to me. In fact, I'd go so far as to say that this is my first 5-star book review. The pacing is perfect, the character work is exceptional, the world building is strong, and it's just a good time of a book to read. I believe that there are TV or film rights for this book, but nothing as of yet has come from this, but I would love to watch that series. I would recommend this to anybody who likes sci-fi, and in fact I'd recommend this to anyone to read. It's a short book, so it's a quick read anyway. If you're a fan of the Starship Troopers book, or indeed the film, you will see some of the influence in here, but for me, this is the book I've enjoyed reading most this year so far. But of course, that's just my opinion. I'd love to know yours. Thank you for listening, and I will catch you all next time.